Vote on Vote 4, Community Safety, Western Cape Appropriation Bill.
I see the Minister, Minister Dan Plater.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier, Cabinet colleagues, members of the Standing Committee on Community Safety, members of the Provincial Parliament, Department of Community Safety, CEO of the Western Cape Liquor Authority, Ministry staff, neighbourhood watchers, CPF members, our partners in safety, and distinguished guests. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Department of Community Safety's budget for the 2018-19 financial year totals R316.617 million, a nominal increase of R12.261 million from the previous financial year. Included in this overall increase of 4% is the expanded Public Works Programme, conditional grant allocation of R7.975 million. R1 million provided by Provincial Treasury for a crime reduction conference involving provincial, national and international experts later in the year, and R1.5 million for the further development of a provincial response to the national anti-gangsterism strategy. Overall, the department's budget is allocated towards compensation of employees, R150.990 million, goods and services, R90.989 million, transfer payments, R67.699 million, and capital assets, R6.939 million. Our expenditure highlights per program are as follows. Program 1, Administration, is allocated R92.966 million to ensure process excellence within the department. The bulk of the spending in Program 1 are for the compensation of employees and transfer payments to the Western Cape Liquor Authority. The latter receives a budget of R39.882 million. Program 2, Civilian Oversight, promotes professional policing through effective oversight and receives a budget of R74.092 million. Other than the EPWP conditional grant, the Crime Reduction Conference, the National Anti-Gang Strategy Implementation, and R1.011 million for the after-school game changer that can be found in Program 2. The expanded partnership program, which benefits CPFs, also resides in this program and is allocated R3.2 million. The sub-program, Monitoring and Evaluation, receives R13.092 million for compliance, monitoring and evaluation of policing, as well as the court watching briefs. Honourable Deputy Speaker, Program 3, Provincial Policing Functions promote better relations between the police and communities through our whole-of-society approach and receives R45.310 million. Included in this program is the R5.670 million for the Youth Safety and Religious Partnership Program and a R3.938 million transferred to the City of Cape Town's Community Stabilisation Unit, which money shall be used to maintain and expand the safe zones in areas identified as crime hotspots as a result of gangster activities. The bulk of our equitable share of the EPWP falls within Program 3. It amounts to R10.720 million and will allow for the 1,000 youth work opportunities to be created with our safety partners. Here I wish to acknowledge the contribution of national government, who has increased the EPWP allocation to the Department of Community Safety with almost 40%, in recognition of the success of our chrysalis and youth work program, which guarantees that every young person who completes the Chrysalis Academy training is given a work placement of at least 12 months. Program 4, Security Risk Management, receives R99.715 million, which relates mainly to the deployment of security at government buildings, providing safety to all who work and visit such government facilities. This money is furthermore earmarked for the implementation of Section 6 of the Western Cape Community Safety Act, namely the formal accreditation, training and resourcing of neighbourhood watchers in the province. Honourable Speaker, The department's own revenue budget for the coming financial year is 32.099 million rand. The projected increase of 1.759 million for the 2018-19 financial year originates from increased liquor licenses to be paid over by the Western Cape Liquor Authority. Let me then also take this opportunity to congratulate the Western Cape Liquor Authority in partnership with my department for the significant progress made this year in the collection of revenue. They have succeeded to increase the revenue by a total of 8.5 million rand in 1 year, Deputy Speaker, which includes an increase of about 149% in fines collected. We shall continue to strengthen the enforcement capability of the Western Cape Liquor Authority to clamp down on those legal outlets who are deliberately and knowingly selling and supplying the illegal outlets. Speaker, the alcohol harms reduction game changer is now fully sustained by the additional monies collected in fines and revenue by the Liquor Authority. The Department of Community Safety has secured its 8th consecutive clean audit outcome from the Auditor General. We have also, for the 3rd consecutive year, received the Best in Province and Country Management Performance Asset Assessment scores as adjudicated by the Monitoring and Evaluation Department within the Presidency for the 2017-18 financial year. Our commitment to good governance and effectiveness was also recognized in our National Batupele Awards nomination as Best Performing Provincial Department, spearheaded by our dedicated Head of Department, who took the Bronze Award for the Best Provincial Head of Department. Honourable Speaker, in 2012, I said in this House that senior police officers is involved with crime and gangsters. I said that it is one of the main reasons why policing is not succeeding and why we cannot get an upper hand on the gangsters and drug lords. I was bitterly criticized even in this House. But during February this year, our former Provincial Police Commissioner pleads guilty in court for corruption, and with him another general and a brigadier, top senior officials in the police in this province. There are more corrupt officers that must leave the service. They give the good cops a bad name. One of our biggest problems in most of our communities is the lack of police visibility, as well as a lack of police and military intelligence to deal with the gun shooters and killers in our communities. These situations provide the breeding ground for lawlessness to prevail if we do not deal with the criminals decisively in a united front. Careless political statements and calls to illegal action cannot be tolerated. Intelligence must deal with the suppliers of the guns and the drugs. I cannot understand why our security forces cannot deal with the shooters and killers, gang bosses and drug lords decisively. How many more youngsters and people must die by the hand of a gangster gun? And we cannot stop them. The question is, why not? It was a major mistake, Deputy Speaker, to let go of thousands of well-trained police reservists. It left a massive void. The current police force cannot cope without the reservists as a force multiplier. Bring them back. Speaker, the department has offered to pay a stipend to those fully trained and equipped police reservists who are underutilized, mostly sitting at home. We must succeed to mobilize these trained men and women to work for safety, especially within priority projects, such as the safety of trains and bus commuters, safety at schools, and the prevention of gangster activities. I know that our offer is under consideration at National SAPS level and wish to make an urgent appeal to the newly appointed National Minister to ensure a speedily and positive response to this unique partnership between the Western Cape Government and SAPS. In the same way, we ask for the reinstatement of the Gang and Drug Unit. We disband, Deputy Speaker, what works. in the fight against gangsters and drug lords. We disband what works well and still believe we can win the fight against these evil forces, and in so doing, giving them a free rein. We must relook the bail system and opposing of bail for serious crimes. Many community groupings who visit me at my office regularly question the fact that alleged criminals with more than one serious case against their name, such as murder or attempted murder, walk out of court after have been given bail more than once, and just walk back into the community and just continue with the same trend as before. Where is the justice in that? I applaud, Deputy Speaker, religious leaders who took the bull by the horns and addressed gangsterism in their communities, and we will continue to support them. Interpersonal violence in the Western Cape, however, remains one of the biggest threats to a safer province, fueled by alcohol abuse, social challenges, which play a major role in respect of this. I confirm Minister Fritz's remarks in his address this morning. Honourable Speaker, I fully support the work done by the dedicated and hardworking men and women in blue, our police force, who relentlessly serve our communities under the expert and committed guidance of our Provincial Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Jula. I thank the General and each and every police officer in the province for their service. I remain concerned about the low conviction rates for gang and drug-related crimes in the province, especially when confronted with the statistical evidence showing how rife these crimes are in our province. For 40 instances of taxi violence, the system has only been able to secure one conviction. The Western Cape still accounts for more than 36% of all drug-related crimes in the country at 107,379 counts in the 2016-17 financial year. An average of 294 drug-related crime counts per day and an average of 8 counts of illegal firearms and ammunition per day. An average of 9 counts of murder, 19 counts of sexual offences, 9 counts of attempted murder, 66 counts of assault with the intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, and 109 counts of common assault is reported every day in this province. We know through the crime statistics that 10 police precincts in the province account for 47.4% of the total number of reported murders, and that 7 of these precincts are also on the list of 10 police stations across the country where the highest number of murders have been recorded. I have recently accepted, Speaker, the nominations to establish the Western Cape Safety Advisory Committee as per Section 25 of the Community Safety Act. Their aim is to strategically guide and enable the province and the department and other role players to perform their functions optimally. The Safety Advisory Committee consists of the following persons. Judge James Yakizu, as a member of the Judiciary, is appointed chairperson. Mr. Crispin Son, representative of the business community. Professor Clifford Shearing, as a senior member of an academic institution with experience in the field of criminology. Ms. Claire Ballard, as a representative from the non-governmental organizations involved in policing or related areas. And Mr. Gideon Morris, our head of department, as an ex-officio member of the committee. I welcome the committee, and I want to thank them for their willingness to serve the people of this province. I remain confident that this committee shall increase the intellectual muscle of the province to effectively build safer communities. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the work of the Western Cape Police Ombudsman, as set out in the Community Safety Act, is going from strength to strength. Since inception, the Ombudsman has received 1,445 complaints. of which 883 investigations have been finalized. The Policing Needs and Priorities, our PNP report for 2017-18 as directed by the Act, will be released in the months of April. Last year, we focused our attention for the PNP determination to 5 areas, mainly Manenberg, Gunya, Saldanha, Khayelitsha, and Paul East, to better align to the Provincial Joint Planning Initiative, with participating municipalities entering into memorandums of understanding with the department to formalize cooperation and implementation of the safety plans. Our support too and the relationship with community policing forums continue to improve. The 3.2 million rand allocated to CPFs through the EPP program for 2018-19 is our biggest investment and support to CPFs to date. To date, 133 of the 150 CPFs, which translate to 88%, have agreed to participate on the EPP program as a structured approach to measure and build functional community-based structures under the legal mandate governing CPFs. I am especially encouraged by the confirmation that the South African Police Services has now given their full support to the EPP tool, which were developed to enhance both CPF functionality and the partnership between the communities, the CPFs, and the police. I also wish to thank the Provincial CPF Board for proclaimed support to the EPP program in the 2018-19 financial year. Speaker, almost 2/3 of the matching grants funded projects, 63%, during 2017-18 were launched in non-metro communities, confirming our support to rural areas across the province, including Oudtshoorn, Ladysmith, Struisbaai, Tulbagh, Porterville, Saldanha, and others. For the 2017-18 financial year, the department is making available a minimum amount of 400,000 rand for similar matching grants projects, and I urge our CPFs to make use of this opportunity. Our CPFs, CPF boards, and neighbourhood watches will also benefit from 16 consultative workshops during 2018-19 financial year to be held in each cluster across the province. Speaker, to date, 200 neighbourhood watches across the province have been formally accredited, with a bulk of 161 receiving accreditation in 2017-18. We were able to train 71 neighbourhood watch structures in 2017-18. For the new financial year, we are aiming at accrediting at least another 100 neighbourhood watch formations. We are setting aside 1.225 million rand for training, as well as 1.3 million to adequately equip our neighbourhood watches with a starter kit upon accreditation. The accreditation of neighbourhood watch structures, as per Section 6 of the Western Cape Community Safety Act, paves the way for increased and direct funding of such structures. Honourable Speaker, this past Monday evening, we honoured the selfless service of our Neighbourhood Watch volunteers in the city of Cape Town with the first bilateral Neighbourhood Watch award ceremony with the city, and congratulate all the winners. Going forward, the department plans on replicating the awards for neighbourhood watches with district municipalities across the province. Part of our oversight work includes the work done by the Court Watching Briefs Unit, who is now operating at 42 district courts throughout the province and has won the 2017 Impumelelo Star Awards. The unit has grown in its scope and output and has monitored in excess of 3,768 cases since inception in 2014-15 financial year. This relates to a more than 2,000% increase in workload from the 134 cases monitored, which was struck off the roll in 2014-15, to 2,768 cases monitored, which was struck off the court roll during the 2016-17 financial year. I thank Advocate Gerber and Advocate Khan and her team for this essential oversight. The department is now also formally engaging the National Prosecuting Authority via its Criminal Proceedings Coordinating Committee monthly meeting, reporting back on the systemic failure identified at the various courts by the Watching Briefs unit. Honourable Speaker, to further inform our future actions based on empirical evidence other than the PNP, the Department will be hosting a crime conference in the third quarter of 2018-19 to tackle some of the key safety concerns throughout the province, such as gang violence, farm violence, poaching, drug offences, as well as compile a provincial crime and safety analysis report and one report on municipal safety. In the same sense, the Department has ongoing responses, interventions and participation on various safety-related issues. The good intergovernmental work done by my department and the Department of Economic Development and Tourism has seen great strides made to help address ATM fraud in the inner city. Similarly, my department is aware of the continued threats people experience while making use of the Greater Table Mountain area. Adequate responses to these types of threats require all agencies, role players and interest holders to work better together. Similar interventions is underway with the Education Department and Health Department. We remain, Speaker, committed to see all the Khayelitsha Commission of Inquiry processes through with the respective community. All the recommendations made by the Khayelitsha Commission of Inquiry are being implemented. For the year ahead, the particular focus of the Priorities Committee, in close cooperation with the South African Police, will be on coordinating the strategies and services of provincial departments with the City of Cape Town, as well as with ward councillors. The department has allocated 482,000 to assist with the implementation of community projects in this regard. There is already a significant, Deputy Speaker, a significant decrease in vigilante killings of more than 40% in Khayelitsha and surrounds, which we regard as one of the recommendation's major successes. The alcohol harms reduction program doing excellent work in town too and is ongoing. The walking buses help to deal with school safety around and in schools with significant success. Capacitation of neighbourhood watches is ongoing, also with very good results. Honourable Speaker, the department is chairing the Prof Joint Anti-Gangsterism Committee aimed at coordinating and implement the provincial response to the National Anti-Gangsterism Strategy adopted by National Cabinet. We have also, as is required by the National Strategy, established a provincial interministerial committee, and Minister Schaefer in her address referred to this committee, the committee comprising the MECs for community safety, education, social development and arts, sports and culture, as well as the senior representation of the National Prosecuting Authority, SAPS, Departments of Justice and Correctional Services, and the heads of various provincial departments. This interministerial committee has the mandate to coordinate the implementation of the 4 pillars of the National Anti-Gang Strategy, namely human development with focus on school safety and social cohesion, social partnerships with focus on functional CPF structure and sustainable partnership, spatial design, focusing on building safer spaces for communities and combating gangsterism through effective law enforcement. The department was able to secure the help of Professor Don Pinnock to lead a series of engagements with criminal justice officials and external role players to articulate and develop our action plan with 1.5 billion rand budgeted for implementation. Honourable Deputy Speaker, during the 2017-18 financial year, the Department of Community Safety already shows an over-collection of 5.46 million rand by the Western Cape Liquor Authority against the projected revenue of 29.853 million. This was as a result of not only an increase in license fees, but also efficiencies achieved by the Western Cape Liquor Authority. From a governance perspective, the entity obtained its first clean audit for the 2016-17 financial year. I thank the work done by the Western Cape Liquor Authority in this regard and welcome the new liquor board chaired by Advocate Sidaki as a valuable partner in our aim of not only effectively regulating the retail sale and micro manufacturing of liquor in the province, but also for their role in addressing the scourge of alcohol in the province. Honourable Speaker, alcohol harms reduction game changer implementation and activities are ongoing, and we, together with our partners in the SAPS, National Prosecuting Authority, and other law enforcement agencies, continue to improve the effectiveness of to enforce laws related to liquor trading. The enforcement of Section 76 of the National Liquor Act will this year focus on quality monitoring of premises to obtain the necessary evidence to clamp down on legal sellers providing to illegal and unregulated outlets. And I hope we take note, legal sellers providing to illegal and unregulated outlets. We have to ensure that where problems arise in communities which have a direct safety implication or threat to communities, that we explore the options available to the Western Cape government through legislation, regulation, or improved working relationships to complement the intention of national legislation for effective and efficient intergovernmental cooperation. This is particularly true for the impact illegal poaching and cable theft, illegal trade in second-hand goods is having on the safety of communities in the province. I have instructed my department to explore all avenues to derive at a workable response. The Youth Safety and Religious Partnership Program is currently in its 6th year of implementation and has reached more than 108,000 youth during the school holidays since its inception. An independent review of the program in 2017-18 has revealed valuable insights which we need to consider going forward. Most notably, what was seen as a criticism was that the program attracts far more children under the age of 14 than it does for the target market of youth aged 14 to 25. This, Honourable Speaker, is a great opportunity for my department and other departments to make further inroads into an age grouping which are all the more confronted with the scourge of gangsterism and drugs, even at that young age. Community members complain about children as young as 9 running around with guns or being used by gangsters and drug lords in their criminal activity. The department will continue with the YSRP implementation this year and have increased the budget available with more than 1 million rand to total 5.670 million rand for the 2018-19 financial year. Though the department will be prioritizing high-risk areas in the coming year, the program remains open for applications across the province. In 2017-18, we had an almost 20% uptake in rural areas, who received 22.5% of the available funding. We will continue to measure the success of this program. Our support and partnership with the Chrysalis Academy and FET colleges continue. And Speaker, when we start with this a couple of years ago, also lots of criticism. We engaged with gangster youth and talked to gangster youth, but listen to this. In total, we have reached 6,000 plus youth through our FET college outreach activities in the 2017-18 financial year. I think that is absolutely remarkable, of which more than 1,000 have been afforded the opportunity to study towards a better life through a tertiary education bursary. We have managed to increase our funding to Chrysalis with 2 million rand in 2018-19 to total 13.327 million rand, which will see the training of 640 Chrysalis Academy youth, graduates and work placements for all graduates at Safety Partners for a full 12 months period after graduation. The department will also partner with the Chrysalis Academy this year for Youth Months. The department's Youth Months activities will be launched on the 9th of June this year at Athlone Stadium, with youth in excess of 2,500 plus expected to attend, and followed up with a number of activities and events for the duration of June 2018. Honourable Speaker, since the start of the walking bus project in 2016, the department has been able to launch walking buses in 75 areas.
Order.
With 220...
Order, Minister, just 1 second. Can I just appeal to the galleries not to partake in the debate? You are welcome here, but you're not part of the proceedings in the House. Please don't clap or cheer. You may proceed, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. With 222 schools participating and in excess of more than 2,000 walking bus volunteers. Further to the weekly monitoring and daily flagging of problems, I'm happy to announce that the walking bus project are also receiving support and monitoring via the City of Cape Town's camera control room in conjunction with Metro Police and the South African Police to allow for quicker responses and response times and coordinated law enforcement support. It's a very beautiful partnership between us, the city, and SAPS. We have embarked on providing the necessary road safety training to our walking bus structures, and the result of the project and appreciation for the walking buses are streaming in from communities, headmasters of schools, and other entities within the communities. In the year to come, we will be launching an additional 25 new walking buses in communities across the province, including Harare, Makaza, Marikana, Wallisdean, Zwelithemba, De Dorings, Vredendal, Lutzville, Vredenburg, Sint-Helena Bay, Klapmuts, Vissershoek, and Heideveld, and others. It is our vision to capacitate community volunteers in the walking bus as a viable and sustainable activity under the Neighbourhood Watch model to formalize our support and assistance to our trusted safety volunteers. The walking bus cannot be compared to the Bambananis, and I want to make this point very clearly. Times have changed and situations in communities have changed. During the time of the Bambananis, it was largely fights with knives. Nowadays, it is fights with guns. Though neither is able to stop a bullet, one or two Bambananis at the school gate is not enough to stop the influences, but we are seeing how the scores of parents, listen to this, how the scores of parents walking their kids to school, and that is what we want. Instead of have one or two Bambananis at the gate, we have tens and tens more parents available and active in and around our schools. And that is what we're talking about, effective services to schools. To stop the influences, but we are seeing how the scores of parents walking the kids to school are having a positive impact on safety and the silent, law-abiding majority taking back the streets. It's time for the silent majority in our communities to become involved in the fight against criminalities in the communities. Honourable Speaker, other outreach activities aimed at the youth to be launched in 2018-19 will see the introduction of a peer mentorship program in communities, as well as the rollout of our annual Women's Month and 16 Days of Activism campaigns. And once again, I want to confirm the comments made this morning by my colleague Albert Fritz in his address around some of these youth and women's issues. School safety remains a priority for the department, and we continue to engage with our safety partners in government, law enforcement, and communities on the threats to safety too many of our youth of school-going age experience. We conclude the transfer payment to the City of Cape Town of 6.5 million rand for the establishment of 10 safe zones in and around 14 priority schools in areas including Manenberg, Lingolete West, Bellar, Delft, Ravensmead, Hanover Park, Bonteheuwel, and others. We will see the deployment of 4 school resource officers and neighborhood safety officers at high-risk schools. The establishment of such safe zones is done in close consultation with all law enforcement agencies, including SAPS, via the structures of the Prof Joints under the co-chairmanship of SAPS and the South African Defence Force. The safe zones, once fully established and integrated within the command and control structures of law enforcement, shall provide a critical and safe access point to essential government services such as emergency medical services, social development, as well as education. Honourable Speaker, none of our interventions or partnerships can ever replace the crucial role to be played by a functioning, well-resourced and equipped police service in our communities. This budget will allow us to continue forging the partnerships between police and communities where a breakdown in trust exists. It will provide us the opportunity to build on existing partnerships to improve safety in communities across the province. And Speaker, finally, on that note, I want to thank my department, all the officials, the staff in my office, the staff of the Reaching Out team who worked in support of a shared goal of safer communities, and also the partnership role with our neighbourhood watchers, CPFs, and walking buses as well. Also, I want to thank the Standing Committee under the chairmanship of Honourable Member Mireille Wenger for her continued support as well. God bless you all. Thank you.
I see the Honourable Wenger.
Honourable Speaker, St. Thomas Aquinas said that the object of hope is a future good, difficult but possible to obtain. That future good that we all hope for is safety. Safety to live, work, relax, and move about. But safety is complex and requires myriad partners. This includes the police, which is the constitutionally mandated entity to protect the inhabitants of this province and country and their property, and to uphold and enforce the law. Another of these partners is the provincial government through its oversight role. The Department of Community Safety is the principal department legally mandated to conduct police oversight and to promote community police partnerships and community police relations. The Department of Community Safety has been allocated a substantial increase in the National Conditional Grant for the Expanded Public Works, or the EPWP program. It is one of the only departments, through its good track record on this program, which receives such a significant increase in this grant. Through the EPWP program, 993 work opportunities were created between April and December last year. And these opportunities come from right across the Western Cape, and half of them being given to women. The grant mainly relates to the work of the program located in the Chrysalis Academy, where graduates can pursue a 9-month-long work program following the completion of their residential program. The Chrysalis Academy is proposed to receive 13 million rand for the upcoming financial year. The allocation is welcome, as this program will offer young people, especially youth from vulnerable communities, the opportunity to participate in a program which focuses on the individual's physical, psychological, and spiritual development, resulting in realistic, sustainable, and life-changing results. This year, the Chrysalis Academy will open additional space and will develop 640 youth. The Chrysalis Academy exists to create a safe and dependable environment, along with a sense of purpose for youth, so that individuals can transform their lives and bring about positive change in their communities. While this project is one of many aimed to treat the root causes of gangsterism, the department is also partnering with law enforcement agencies to provide a security response to gangsterism. In the upcoming budget, 2.5 million rand has been allocated towards the National Anti-Gang Strategy, which focuses on disabling, dislodging, and weakening the capacity of gangs in our province. A further 6.5 million rand is dedicated to the 10 zones which includes the protection of vulnerable schools within the Cape Town metropolitan area, and many of these areas are gang affected. Speaker, the Liquor Authority also is set to receive an increase in their budget, as we've just heard, which will mainly be used to increase staff in the liquor enforcement area, which will help enforce the Liquor Act. The Alcohol Harms Reduction Game Changer policy ultimately plays an integral part in the Western Cape government's effort to fight alcohol abuse and the associated negative consequences. In addition, Mr. Deputy Speaker, funding is again being set aside for the implementation of the O'Regan Commission of Inquiry for their recommendations. For example, 8 additional CCTV cameras for Khayelitsha are to be funded. The efforts by all role players to date is bearing fruit. The Standing Committee was informed that there has been an almost 50% reduction in vigilante killings in Khayelitsha since the establishment of the Commission in 2012. The ostensible reason for the establishment of the Commission. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to mention, yet again, the chronic under-resourcing of SAPS in our province. This will be the 4th budget debate that I bring this to the House's attention in fulfillment of my own oversight function. In the current financial year, we only have 16,467 SAPS officials serving our province. We should have, according to the fixed establishment, which is already underestimated, 17,405. This means we have almost 1,000 less officers serving our communities than what the SAPS has budgeted for. We will never be up to full strength if the national government does not provide what it said it would. Last year, only 251 people were recruited to the Western Cape SAPS. And then if you take into consideration the number of officers that retired or resigned, this is clearly not enough. Our men and women in blue must be provided with adequate manpower in order to perform their work efficiently and effectively and to fulfill their constitutional mandate. But what is of grave concern is that the national government seems to have its priorities skewed at the direct expense of those it's supposed to serve. As the representatives of the people of this province, we must reject cuts in the police service. We simply can't have less officers serving a growing population. The latest police budget for 2018 will see the number of police serving South Africa reduced from 194,000 to 191,000. The 3,000 posts that will be cut come mainly from visible policing and from detectives. But if we look at VIP security, nationally, only 30 posts are going to be cut. VIP security spend has seen the largest budget growth of 9.4% since 2014, compared with any other program. Comparatively, Vispol and detectives only increased by 3 or 4%. But the VIP security deserves further scrutiny. In a context of a lack of safety, how can the national government justify spending 3 billion rand on VIP protection in the next budget year? The Institute for Race Relations' recent report titled South Africa's Secret Police revealed that as a nation under President Zuma, we spent 18 billion rand on VIP security.
Order.
This comes at the real cost to the people of this province. We've heard again and again in this House our MEC's concerns about budget cuts for frontline service delivery in health, in education, and social development. What could these departments have done with 18 billion rand? The IRR report suggests that 88 VIP protectors, 88, are assigned exclusively to the President. Further, the average ratio is 4 VIP protection personnel to each VIP. Meanwhile, communities in Cape Town have quite the opposite. We have an average of only 1 police officer for every 439 inhabitants. Certain communities, such as Harare, have 1 officer for 826 inhabitants. Nyanga, 1 officer for 754 of us. Delft, 1 for only 706. Kraaifontein, 1 to every 702 members of the public. Grassy Park, 1 for every 643 members of the public. Table View, 1 for every 603. And so the list continues. 75% of police stations in this city are understaffed. And the ANC national government's response? Protect itself and take police away from citizens. In this context of insufficient resources, as
Order.
public representatives, we should be assisting the police by promoting peace and harmony and not unrest, which further strains police resources. Deputy Speaker, the Department of Community Safety continues to support community safety structures, key of which are the Community Police Fora and the Neighbourhood Watches. Part of the EPWP
Order.
is intended for this purpose. In addition, the Department's expanded partnership program, the EPP, is now funding CPFs in the Western Cape to the tune of 1.5 million rand. 124 of the 150 CPFs, that's 83%, are functional and have been recipients of this money through the co-production of oversight reports at local police stations. In another positive development, as mentioned by the MEC, the South African Police Service has fully endorsed the EPP program, which will allow it to continue to grow from strength to strength. The accreditation of neighbourhood watches has improved from a slow start to an accelerated rate, meaning that more and more communities can access training and resources for their safety improvement efforts. This week, brave and committed volunteers were honoured at the Neighbourhood Watch Award ceremony. Our community partners should be acknowledged and recognised for their invaluable contributions. It's just a pity that the invitation to the standing committee to this event seems to have been lost in the post. Other oversight bodies also receive budget allocations to continue their work, namely the Provincial Police Ombudsman and the Court Watching Briefs program. It was made clear in our engagement with the department that critical safety partnerships which promote the whole of society are a priority for this department and are funded as such. These include the Youth and Religious Leaders Program and the Walking Bus Project, which has been extended to over 70 communities in this province. This really is better together in action, a valuable partnership between communities and government. We are so grateful to have such caring and committed parents who make up the walking buses. We welcome the additional numbers for the Walking Bus Project for the new financial year. Speaker, the Community Safety Act and its regulations are now mostly implemented with the appointment of the Safety Advisory Committee. There are, however, some areas where there's not been full implementation, and as a standing committee, we are monitoring this and ask the department to brief us regularly on developments to ensure the full implementation of this legislation. With all this considered, it is clear that this budget has been drafted with the department's strategic objectives in mind to fund its most important projects in pursuit of its stated aims and policy objectives. This budget is a responsible budget. The Democratic Alliance, therefore, supports a vote for community safety.
Order. Is the Honourable Lekker in the House? Oh, there she is. Sorry. Honourable Lekker, your next speaker. Order.
Ndiyabulela Sekela Somlomo. Ndifuna ukuthatha elithuba ngelithi the frontline services of the Western Cape Provincial Government should include the Department of Community Safety. The issue of safety cannot be relegated into a mere by-the-way matter. To prove that this provincial government is not taking safety of our communities serious, you have to look no further than the mere allocation in this budget. But the reasons for that are well known. This provincial government does not want to put in more resources into this department so that they will not have the responsibility to ensure that crime prevention is taking place and we maintain safety in our communities. A department as important as this one has been reduced to a department of funding religious groups, taking youth to chrysalis, as well as being crybabies, as we see MEC Plato doing all the time. Every time he speaks, every time you ask him to account, the standard response is always that it is not my duty but that of SAPS this kind of attitude continues to how the budget of this department is structured. As an example, this budget is transferring money to the Department of Education for school safety. The only reason for this is because the department does not want to take any responsibility. The MEC Schaefer and MEC Plato must tell us what are they doing to improve safety of learners inside the school premises. Last year, we witnessed a death of a learner in Scottsdene who was not shot at, but he was stabbed. This was not the first incident at Scottsdene, and this actually makes me think that we must change the name to Stepsdene rather. Speaker, the provincial government has a reason why it is underfunding this department. It is not because it is led by one minister who is clueless about this portfolio, but it is because they don't want to take a responsibility of safety. They are happy with blaming SAPS and national government for everything. If this department played its role optimally, rampant crime in our communities would be eliminated. While the national government is trying so hard to fight crime in our communities, it is met with opposition and daily criticism from this department. One of the mandates of this department is to promote good relations between the police and the communities. Yet we have an MEC who has made it his primary task to go to communities and blame national government and SAPS all the time. Yet this MEC, working with the Premier of the province, has actually failed the people of Khayelitsha. The findings of the Khayelitsha Commission were released on the 23rd of August 2014. Part of the instructions of that actually mandate was Regulation 12. Regulation 12, Speaker, actually had entrusted the department to establish a multi-sectoral task team on youth gangs, which must be established by dogs. It clearly directed the Western Cape government that it must convene this task team, that part of the expectations and the strategic plan was to ensure the safety in schools, including the prohibition of weapons and sharp implements at schools, to seek and protect children traveling to and from school in Khayelitsha from being targeted by a gang or gang members. The provision also made an indication that the after-school care and extramural activities for learners must be taken care of. They must ensure that schools monitor absenteeism, patterns of identity, and identify the learners who are at risk by staying away from school because of fear of gangs. Develop and extension diversionary programs for youth at risk through the chrysalis. But, Chair, I want to say today, I want to ask the department whether that strategic plan is in place now. Because the report indicated it is not yet in place, and the department has always been saying a memorandum of understanding has not been signed. However, after the department has had its own constitution, its own law, it then decided there was no need for that. It's 2018, that strategy is not yet in place. And I want to ask again from the department, if the youth gangs are attended to and that schools are participating, can they be able to produce a register of principals that attended, or at least representatives of school governing bodies into that sectoral meeting that they claim to be hosting on a monthly basis. Now, we really take this thing into heart when our chairperson, because we feel that monies were wasted. The department and subs took each other to court and whatever. But the recommendations were not implemented properly. Who has been failed? It's no one else but the people of Khayelitsha, the youth of Khayelitsha. Monies have been wasted. The only good thing that we have seen was a payback to those who officiated the Commission of Inquiry. They were appointed in various entities within the department. That's what the department is good at. And we must say today, Chairperson, that we take this thing very serious. Moreover, when you're looking at serious issues of murder, when you're looking at serious issues of serious crimes, last year alone, Nyanga in the Western Cape remains South Africa's murder capital, with 281 murders being recorded in the year ending in March. And if you're looking at that, you would indeed realize that Cape Town tops the list of the highest murder rate in the country's most dangerous city. And if you look at that, Chair, and you consider the statement that was made by the Premier of this province in this House, it makes me worried. It makes me cry because I live in Nyanga. I live in the Black Township. And the Premier had the audacity to say in this House, white people don't kill each other. Isn't that reckless? That shows little regard.
Order. 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 Honourable Premier. Order. Honourable Magaka. Allow the Premier. She's got the floor.
Record will show that that is not correct, and the member is deliberately misleading this House.
Order, order, Premier. You've now used the word deliberately misleading, which is not parliamentary, so unfortunately I have to ask you to withdraw that part.
To what I did actually say,
Thank
and
you.
whether the member is misleading the House.
Thank you, Member. You may continue. Honourable Lekker.
Thank you, Speaker. I would really appreciate that you go back to Hansard and listen to it, and you will find out that Premier indeed uttered such statement, and we were all shocked. Speaker, it is a known fact that through and through, socio-economic factors are often regarded as the causal effect to criminality. Within the society, it is evident in the township, everywhere you go, in the Cape Flats, you would see that the issues have not been taken serious. You would really see that the DA-led government begins to undermine the real issues of ensuring that you uplift the communities, of ensuring that you begin to improve and support urban development, to change the living conditions of the poor, to change the living picture that you see in Bokmakiri, that you see in Menenberg, that you see in Bishop Lavis, that you see in Tepe, that you see in Enyunyini inside C. You definitely need to make sure that you do more than applying the necessary technical skills, and put relevant interventions in place to change the face of those areas. And to ensure that people feel and are safety. IDP by the city of Cape Town is something that is just a tick in the box. If that was done, you would not have had communities that have houses everywhere you go. There are no recreational facilities. There are no chances of creating employment opportunities. Unfortunately, this is where you find our people. This is where you find them committing crime because they don't have anything else to do. With the limited resources that the SAPS has, one would have expected that your LENA resource officers that you have deployed by the city of Cape Town to walk around in the town center, you deploy those people where they are mostly needed in the township for visibility. They walk around in the town center, they walk past hawkers who are selling counterfeit CDs, music and videos. They do nothing. We need those officers from the city of Cape Town as part of law enforcement, enforcing the law in the township, not only in the town center or in the Belleville CPD. In fact, in the Belleville, they don't walk around the CPD, they only walk in the bus terminus. And drugs are exchanged in their presence. We have evidence to that. Now, for you to stop wasting the taxpayers' money, MEC, speak to your colleagues in the city of Cape Town and deploy them where they are needed the most. Marikana informal settlement still has no lights. And part of your responsibility is to ensure that there is proper infrastructure for the SAPS to enforce the law. Every night in Marikana, people are robbed in their shops. They are robbed in their stalls by criminal groupings. It's dark. Those people are unable to see them. And I'm saying this because I'm with them on a daily basis on our WhatsApp group in Marikana. The ward councillor made an application.
Honourable Janki, is there a point of order? Question?
May I answer the honourable member just a question before she proceeds?
Member Lekker, are you prepared to take a question from your colleague? It's at the expense of your own time, just keep it in mind.
Do you think this walking bus we're just told here will be able to start in Marikana tomorrow?
Thank you, Comrade Janji. In fact, I would assist you. And let me assist the MEC. Perhaps the walking bus can be directed properly. Because it's a walking bus, they must walk in the streets of Marikana because the police are unable to enter Marikana. There are no roads, there are no lights there. We're still waiting for the high mast lights, which the ward councillor applied for. He only asked for 3. He must speak to his own colleagues, but I want to further...
Order.
I want to further make a suggestion, Deputy Speaker, if you may allow me.
Order.
I would like to request this department, instead of utilizing the monies through programs of the EPP and EPWP, they must combine those monies, pay a stipend to the working buses so that they can do a meaningful contribution, but they won't be able to contribute meaningfully if they don't get a stipend. I'm not asking for a salary. I'm asking for a stipend to motivate them further to do their work and assist this department in crime prevention, which is not even assisting in terms of ensuring before you do crime prevention, there's proper infrastructure. They must speak to their colleagues in the city of Cape Town and ensure there's proper infrastructure. I thank you.
Thank you, member. The Honourable Christians.
Deputy Speaker, in my opinion, this is most probably the most frustrating portfolio because you are asked to task with community safety, but you have no powers over the police operational powers. That's frustrating because people look at you because the message that the ANC is putting out there is that the MEC is responsible for policing. And the core functions is to implement the constitutional and legislative mandate of provincial oversight over law enforcement agencies. That's one of the core functions. So Deputy Speaker, it's frustrating when we hear year in and year out debating the same issues. The same issues year in and year out. We must rather compliment the MEC and the department for the watching briefs.
Order.
You know, we don't need a watching briefs if we have an effective and functioning criminal justice system. But it's collapsed. There's nothing, and now you need a court watching briefs in order to see if they do their jobs. What is the use? What is the use? People are arrested, but nobody goes to prison. Nobody goes to prison. Nobody's prosecuted. So I want to congratulate the Minister and the Department for the Chrysalis program. It's something for the youngsters, something to take them off the street, and they can have a meaningful contribution to society. The walking buses, I've been there. We've been to Delft. We walked. We participate in the walking bus. It works. It works. What we're asking is that the walking bus be extended to more communities because safety is needed at our schools. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, member. Order. Please come to order before I see the Minister. Minister, if it's quiet, you can start.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Just a couple of issues. I think what the Honourable Lekker must do, she must talk to the National Minister, and she must task the National Minister to hand over the policing function to the Western Cape Department of Community Safety. Well, let me say to you, where the police force is currently, it is not fully functional, it is not fully effective. We need a functional police force. We need issues that all of them is criminals. It is very wrong. Let me say to you, the majority of the people in Delft, the majority of the people in Bishop Lavis, even the majority of the people in Nyanga are law-abiding people. We're dealing here with a small group of criminals. I was in Worcester yesterday. In 4 streets in Worcester, I was told yesterday in Avian Park, 29 dead in 4 streets only in this year. And the police force cannot clamp down on a handful of not more than 15 hooligans and criminals in that area with over 250 police men and women in the whole of Worcester. My question to police officers in a meeting yesterday was, why is it that 15 plus minus hooligans is keeping all of those people at ransom and the police is helpless in the process? That is what you must take instead of criticizing us. You must take that debate to your political masters and say to them, you're in charge of intelligence. Janky, Honourable Janky, your political masters in National Parliament that is in charge of SAPS. What the devil are they doing? They got the blood on their hands. They are actually the killers of the people in our communities. That's what it is. You and your colleague, you can only shout. That is what you are good
Order.
for on that side.
Order.
You're only like Chihuahua doggies. And further on, there's nothing in your armory.
Order.
And let me conclude to say to you, the Khayelitsha Commission of Inquiry is in place, is working, it's functional. You just do not want to know it, although you know what is right and correct in Khayelitsha.
Order. Order.
We as a
Order,
department,
Minister, before you proceed, the noise level in the House is too high. Please. I'm not talking about the Minister, I'm talking about the collateral damage. Minister, you may proceed.
We take our oversight duties, our oversight role very seriously. It's a very important oversight role. It is my duty to identify the systemic failures in SAPS and in the judiciary system. It is exactly what we are doing.
Order.
Speaker, on
Minister,
that note,
just before you conclude, I think there's Chief Whip on the floor.
Thank you. The Honourable Davids keeps on referring to the Minister as a dog.
As a what?
That, as we know, is unparliamentary.
I could not hear the word, Chief Whip. As a what? Oh, dog. Oh, order. 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 I did not hear that, but if the member did. Order. Order, please come to order. Honourable Janchi. Give the chair a second. Honourable Davis, do you want to comment on that?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the Minister said we are Chihuahuas. So I'm just saying he's the biggest one.
I did not pick that up, Minister. If you did refer to members of the House as being dogs, that is unparliamentary.
yeah, I never said they are dogs, Honourable Speaker, but I withdraw the remark.
Thank you. Please continue. You must conclude now.
Finally, in conclusion, the walking bus project is going from strength to strength. 25 more areas will come, and let me refer to Khayelitsha again. On my desk is lying a batch of letters from headmasters of schools in Khayelitsha and in Nyanga. In Nyanga, we were asked to come and structure another lot of walking buses. In Khayelitsha, the headmasters of schools is of the opinion it is working so well, they don't need to worry about safety in and around the schools anymore. What the least you can do is to come to this house and to say, let us all support the walking bus drive because it proved to give us the results we need. On that note, I want to thank the guys on the gallery, all our walking bus members. Thank you very much for a job well done. And finally, to Premier Zille, Premier, thank you so much for your continued support for all our programs and projects.
Order. That concludes the debate on this vote. We will suspend business for a few minutes before we proceed to the next vote. House is suspended.